Good evening. It's been a great week for everyone connected with Brighton. The Seagulls will, of course, be playing Championship football next season after they secured promotion from League One on Tuesday night. Congratulations to them. They've certainly done it in some style. The question is, could they apply the cherry on the cake today, so to speak, by sealing the title? We'll be finding out together with the day's other big winners in the company of Steve Claridge. And if you want to get in touch with us, then Jason's waiting to hear from you.
Yes, good evening. I want to hear from you, Brighton and Hove Albion fans. Many congratulations to you. And if your club is involved in a promotion or relegation dogfight, then do get in touch. And Barnet fans, how do you feel about Martin Allen's departure to Notts County? You can text 81111 or email footballleague@bbc.co.uk.
Well, as always, there's plenty to get through in the Empower Football League. It's tight at the top of the Championship. We'll have all the action from the teams in the thick of it, including a look back at Friday night's game at Carrow Road. The form team at the moment is undoubtedly Reading. They were looking to make it 8 wins on the spin when Sven's Leicester travelled to Berkshire.
With Brighton's promotion grabbing all the headlines in midweek, you might have missed Rochdale moving impressively into the League One playoff places after their own fairy tale promotion last season. Could Dale possibly do it again?
And in League Two, it was potentially a big day for Chesterfield. If results went their way, the Spyrights would be promoted. We'll let you know how that unfolded a little later. Well, we begin, of course, at the top of the Championship, where things are beginning to look pretty interesting now, with just 3 weeks of the regular season left. And this was how the top half looked before Norwich v Forest yesterday. QPR don't play till Monday, of course. The Hoops look home and dry. That's unless, of course, the FA stick an almighty spanner in the works. But just take a look at the teams behind them. Just 3 points separated the 4 sides behind QPR. Not to mention a further scramble for a playoff place developing just below them. Well, the 2 Welsh clubs were in action earlier today. Swansea had a tough trip to Burnley, but we start with Cardiff, who are at home against Portsmouth.
Cardiff fans' famous Ayatollah celebration might go into overdrive in the next few weeks. Last year, Dave Jones's side lost to Blackpool at Wembley in the playoff final. They're understandably determined to go up automatically this time around. It took Cardiff just 6 minutes to take the lead against Portsmouth. Sai Olifinjana heading in Craig Bellamy's cross. This was Ricardo Roca's second game back after receiving a red card at Reading 2 weeks ago. The Portuguese defender will have to spend more time on the sidelines after this ugly reaction to a Jay Bothroyd challenge. It ended his participation in this match. Roca clearly not happy with the referee's decision. These 2 sides met in the FA Cup final 3 years ago. Pompey took the silverware on that occasion, but it will be a struggle with 10 men for 72 minutes here. Bothroyd going close for the hosts. Cardiff were making the most of their numerical advantage, and they were further in front just before the break. Pompey failed to clear a Peter Whittingham free kick, and Bothroyd was there to punish them. Portsmouth struggled to subdue the ever-dangerous Bellamy. This time he set up Whittingham to consign Pompey to a second 3-0 defeat in a week. Cardiff looked determined to take that second automatic promotion spot.
It's hard earned, but they started quite bright. We got the goal, and then the sending off sort of helps you again. But no, we still had to work hard to get the result.
We've come down here today and we've not got anything. We know that we've not got anything. We've not had any refereeing decisions. I would say over the last month, and I don't know, maybe there's a little bit of a downer on Pompey at the moment, and I really do believe that.
3 defeats in their last 3 away games have threatened to derail Swansea's bid for automatic promotion. Brendan Rodgers' side were looking to get back on track at Burnley. It was a determined start by the visitors as they went so close to taking an early lead. Scott Sinclair unlucky not to claim his 23rd of the campaign in all competitions. Rodgers has expressed an interest in making Fabio Borini a permanent signing for the Swans, and here's why. That, his 4th goal in 5 matches since arriving on loan from Chelsea. Burnley appeared to be winding down for the season, having lost their last 4. But they were given a route back into this match when Ashley Williams headed a Chris Eagles cross into his own net. In reply, Rodgers brought on forwards Thomas Priskin and Luke Moore in search of a win, but his side was stunned when Angel Rangel was penalised for a challenge on Jay Rodriguez, which led to a penalty. Eagles took it to confirm another miserable away day for the Swans. Claret's veteran Graham Alexander celebrated a hugely impressive personal milestone when he came on as a late sub. This is 1,000th career appearance, and he almost celebrated it in style. No goal for Alexander, but this Claret's win is another dent in Swansea's automatic promotion hopes.
We've got this habit of letting teams off the hook, and obviously the first goal was obviously unfortunate. Goes in and off Ashley's head, and then obviously the second goal from a penalty was never a penalty.
We'll talk about Swansea in a second. Well, let's go back in chronological order, shall we? Norwich v Forest last night. You were surprised particularly because you were at Carrow Road, impressed by the way... OK, we'll talk about Norwich shortly, but what about Swansea then? Swansea losing to Burnley, their away form's got to be particularly worrying at this crucial stage of the season.
It has. I mean, like Brendan said, they've lost a few games away. I think it's 11 in total this season, which is a slight concern. And obviously, at this stage of the season, with it going on that sort of run, it could cost them second place. But no, I mean they are a good side at home. We know that. They've just got to make sure that away from home they're just a little bit tighter. And as you said, they get that little bit of luck that they might need.
So you were at Norwich, as I mentioned.
Yep.
What about that? The way they came back after so early on.
Well, I mean, what I liked about that was, I mean, the game for Norwich was there. It had to be won. I mean, with all due respect, if it wasn't, then a draw or a defeat, absolutely no good to them at all.
So let's get to Norwich then, shall we? Because we saw conflicting fortunes for the likes of Cardiff and Swansea. As for the Canaries, they started the weekend sandwiched between both those Welsh clubs. The Canaries played on Friday against Forest, who were boosted by their first win for 2 months. Commentary on this game from Martin Fisher.
Maloney, only his second start for the club. Ruddy out to clear, Tyson charging him down, and it's a goal! Nathan Tyson! It's a freak goal, but he certainly will not care about that. Tyson chased as Whitbread left it to his goalkeeper, and Ruddy's clearance off the back of Tyson's leg. He knew very little about where it had gone and turned to see it disappearing over the line and into the back of the net. Forest have brought everybody back to defend this. Camp stays on his line and Holt scores. Grant Holt against his former club. And Forest lead lasted 7 minutes. The ball round the corner for McGugan. This looks dangerous. McGugan, it's a chance against the post from Musi. It's a fabulous turn by Lewis McGugan. And then the tee up for Musi. Ruddy was beaten. It'll fall for Holt. In for Sermon. Flag stays down, and Sermon scores. Norwich take the lead. It's a neat finish by Sermon. Kept beaten here, given no chance by Sermon. And Norwich have come from behind to take the lead. And just to let you know, while the Norwich celebrations were at full throttle, Paul Konchesky talked his way into the referee's book for arguing that decision. Here's the free kick, well forward off McGoldrick with a golden chance and hits it straight at Ruddy. What an opportunity to make it 2-2. Holt's touch, Jackson looking to feed on it. He's got away from Morgan, the angle is tight, but Camp needed to make the save. Simeon Jackson somehow wriggled his way past Morgan, and that was heading in. Oh, Konchesky should have got that. He's been booked, remember. That's a very poor challenge. This could be a red card. It's the second yellow, and Konchesky is off. It's a big 3 points for Norwich. It's another setback for Forest. and their quest to finish in the top 6.
That was as tough as it came for us. They're the best I've seen come down here for a little bit, and yeah, so they won, and everything about it was great.
The one thing I would say here at the moment, if you're looking from an outside looking in, you do feel that from the very top, the boardroom, all the way through to the fans and the staff and the players, there's a great togetherness here. And we wish Paul Lambert and his team all the very best.
Very magnanimous of Billy Davis. Well, clearly the pressure for second place has got to me. Norwich there, well, falling behind to what was a freak goal which we saw on Friday. And this is the point I was trying to make a little earlier. Their heads could have dropped so quickly, but
Absolutely.
You've got to give them credit for that.
Yes, I mean, well, they're renowned for staying the distance, aren't they? They've got a lot of late goals already, so that just shows that, you know, if things do go against them, they don't get their head down, they just keep going. And I think that was the point I was trying to make, was that anything other than a victory would have been absolutely no use to them, because they go up the second spot, they're in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they got beaten last night, you know, it wouldn't have mattered, because they would still have been in the playoffs. So only a victory. So all of a sudden, psychologically, you're thinking instantly, we're a goal behind, we've got to get 2 to win this game. Yeah. So, you know, that could have been a real downer, but it wasn't. They just went right, dug in, they got the goal straight away from top scorer. And he did very, very well as well. He played very well with Simi Jackson. And all of a sudden they turned the game around. The tempo of the game was fantastic. For an hour, it was a really good spectacle. 2 teams who played very, very, very well. And then when they took their foot off the gas, they were comfortable at the end. So it was a good all-round performance from Norwich.
Earlier too, we saw a comprehensive win for Cardiff over Portsmouth. Contentious red card, do you think, for Ricardo Rocco?
Well, I just don't think he does an awful lot more than Jay Bothroyd. I mean, I don't think... There's a coming together here, and they go to ground. Now, I don't think he actually goes to butt him here. They walk together and then flick each other's heads away. As they part, they flick each other with their heads. But there wasn't any... I didn't think he did a great deal more. And I'm not quite sure how he gets sent off. I don't think either should have been sent off. If you're going to you either send them both off, or you don't send either of them off and you book them both, which would have been the correct decision.
It's his 4th red card in 14 months at Portsmouth. Reputation gone before him there?
I don't think so. I don't think referees are going to carry that. And he's not you know, an instinctively a dirty player. I just think that it was a sort of a bit of a lopsided decision, shall we say.
All right. Well, now to a team then making real strides up the Championship table in Reading, who started the day in 5th, but as we saw earlier, have got their eyes firmly fixed on an automatic promotion spot. Well, the Royals are the league's form team thanks to 7 straight wins, and earlier today they hosted a Leicester side whose chances of making the playoffs hung in the balance with 2 wins from 9. Your commentator at the Medeski, Alistair Mann.
In a race for promotion as unpredictable as this season's Championship, no club has timed their run better than Reading. Midfielder Michele Ledgerwood retains his place, and small wonder, as he's not lost a single Championship game this season in 17 for Reading, and 9 he was involved in for parent club Queen's Park Rangers. Well, Leicester have their own agenda, just 4 points outside the playoff picture. A run of just 2 wins in the last 9 has certainly hampered their cause. But with a strike force containing Premier League loanees Yakubu and Diamanzi Camara, they certainly possess a goal threat. Sven-Göran Eriksson makes 3 changes, Jeffrey Bruma and Kyle Norton at the back, while the vast experience of Darius Vassell is preferred up front to complete a menacing-looking front 3. That's a foul though by Bamba through the back of Manset. Matthew Mills is in there too, and it's cleared by Bruma. And here's Vassell, and outside of him is Yakubu, and Leicester looking for a swift counter. Reading, to be fair, have 4 or 5 back. Yakubu still has it and hits it, and it sails over the bar. McCarthy reacted like a goalkeeper who wasn't totally sure it was going to go beyond his goal. Yakubu with a powerful hit. McAnuff helping it on towards Long. Leicester were hoping for an offside flag. Long is allowed to continue, and it's a good burst of pace from Long, and he's got round the back, and Kebe scores! Well, Kebe may take the plaudits, but the thanks must go to Shane Long. Look at this from Long. He just puts his foot on the gas and he's away. Round the back, looks up, sees the options available, and it's an undefendable cross, and Kebe makes it 1-0 to Reading. Well, it owed such a lot to Shane Long. Sven-Göran Eriksson will be hugely disappointed. His side had stopped momentarily, hoping for an offside. The flag stayed down, and Long still had a lot of work to do, but he did it well. And McAnuff! 2 goals in 2 minutes! Well, that's the way it's going for Reading. Just opened up, there really wasn't much of a build-up involved, but McAnuff thought, well, why not? He was in the area, he looked up, he saw a gap and drove it out of the reach of wheel. And 2 goals in as many minutes have put Reading in control. There's Yakubu. Nice ball to bring in camera. Darius Vassell making himself available to the right, but well defended by Ledgerwood. Here's Camera again. Now Norton. King. Camera. This is good football from Leicester City. And it'll open up for Wellens. And it's blocked. A look of disbelief on the face of Wellens. But it was a slick move, a good build-up. And Wellens thought he was about to score. Well, other than conceding 2 goals, it sounds like a silly thing to say, but other than that, Leicester have been the better side. Kebe. Final minute of what has been a very entertaining first half. And onside is McAnuff. If he can keep it on, he can. Long makes a darting run to the near. Goes instead to Kebe! Well, they could have ended the half 3-0 up, and maybe they ought to have done. It really opened up for Kebe. Leicester are playing in a very open manner, and they are being caught on the counter-attack. And Kebe fired it over. 2 minutes of added time, and Reading will be happy to hear that half-time blast, I'm sure. Camera takes it, won by Bamba. Kept alive. Camera's delivery again. Bamba stayed in there, and McCarthy makes the save on the near. And Bamba looks at the heavens in frustration. McCarthy's first save of the afternoon. Good run by Yakubu, seen by Van Arnholt, but equally so by Mills. Well, he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that throws teacups around. Going long towards Camera, helped on towards King, and thumped over by Vassell. Oh, he knows he ought to have put his side back in the game. They're continuing to fashion openings. They're continuing to squander them. Vassell, the latest to be guilty. Mullins, Yakubu, Vassell. And again on the counter-attack, there's a vulnerability about Leicester City, and here comes Long, and Kebe's made the run forward, and here's Kebe, who ought to have put the game beyond the reach of Leicester City. Well, he squandered a terrific opening at the end of the first half. He's now squandered perhaps an even better one at the beginning of the second. Vassell, Wellens again, on towards Vassell, again options, again creativity for Leicester City. Is there an end product? Wellens in again, cleared by Kijanishvili, gathered in by Kebe, and again on the counter-attack, here come Reading. And he's got beyond Bamba, he has 2 targets, maybe Kebe might think of going alone. Oh dear. Jimmy Kebe. Well, how many times have we seen him shake his head in the last 3 or 4 minutes? The last minute of the first half, the opening few minutes of the second. And he ought to be keeping a match ball, Jimmy Kebe. Space within which to operate for Griffin. Faced by Van Aanholt. Gets the better of him. Still going Griffin. And the flag's up. And it's a free kick on the edge of the area. Van Aanholt protests his innocence. But it is to no avail. Hart will swing it in left-footed. Straight in, no, off the line. Really well defended, and Wheels there to pick it up. Well, it was going straight in, and Oakley had gone behind Wheel, and I'm pretty sure it was the Leicester captain who got his head to clear it and keep his side in the game. Leicester throw. Camera loses out. Kebe, pacey, drives Reading on, taking on Bruma. Still Kebe, still going Kebe, on towards Long, it reaches Hunt, 3-0. Well, it was probably wise by Jimmy Kebe not to take the chance himself, but he burst from one end of the field to the other, kept his head, kept his composure, and Hunt arrived at the right time and dispatched the third Reading goal. And Reading heading for 8 wins in a row, and who knows, maybe a place in the Premier League. Leicester free kick. Here's Norton. Gallagher targets in the middle if he can pick one out. And surely, no, Yakubu. Well, he's having one of those days. Leicester are having one of those days. And Yakubu's best chance of the afternoon. It looked easier to score from that position, but he steered it wide. Gallagher. Yakubu. Well, surely they have to at least score today. King, their top scorer. Well, there you are. In the end, it was something sensational to get beyond McCarthy. Terrific goal from Leicester's top scorer. Really good hit, right into the corner. Has it come too late? It's 8 wins out of 8. They're now unbeaten in 12. Reading seem both irresistible and invincible right now. Hood back against them, regaining their Premier League place once again. You speak and your players play in a manner that it doesn't seem as though there's like an additional pressure, that you're just enjoying what's going on at the moment.
Well, that's how I live my life, really. And, you know, I think the players are very similar. They're enjoying what they're doing. They're working really hard. They've got a great spirit around the place, and I don't know any other way of doing it. So that's the way I do it.
When we concede so easy, it's hard every time we do it, and it has happened many times this season. And of course we have to try to change it for the last 4 games, and absolutely we have to change things for next season.
Yes, Sven looking pretty deflated there. A really impressive win for Reading. If anything, it was a clinical performance from the Royals, wasn't it?
Well, I think what you've just summed up, it was clinical from them, and certainly it wasn't from Leicester, because Leicester have managed to lose a game 3-1, that they had probably as many chances, if not more, than Reading. I think the way the game went was Reading sat very, very deep, relied on huge amounts of pace going
almost
forward.
like the away side.
They were, and I think they were prepared not to match up with Leicester all over the pitch, but make sure that Leicester didn't get in dangerous areas, didn't obviously get a lot of time and space, but then were prepared to break on them. And Jimmy Kebe, they've got somebody who I don't know who's quite that quick.
Yeah, you've got to give him credit, because his game's is based on pace, isn't it? And obviously he scored the opening goal, 34 starts, a couple of sub, but that pace hasn't diminished throughout the course of this season.
No, I think we'll see in this little montage, all right, OK, there's 1 or 2 chances where you would certainly expect him to do better than he does, but he plays major parts, in, as you said, getting the first goal and also in creating another one. And it was when he was actually breaking, because it helps if you score first in goals if you're going to play them. Look at this, Kamara is absolutely lightning, and he leaves him for dead with the ball. Cuts inside Bruma goes to ground. And it's a fantastic run, and then, you know, it just keeps his head, pulls the ball back, you know, and I think it was the way that he played suited Reading. It suited the way that they had the pace on the break to exploit that, and it was a good performance from them. They just look like a team who just enjoy playing football now, don't they?
8 wins in a row now.
Yeah.
It begs the question, how far can they go? Let's take a look at the run-ins of all the contenders now battling it out for second place in the Championship. Now, you know, which team would you like to be playing for, knowing that these are your last 4 fixtures?
Oh, well, you're asking. I don't think it really matters. I think it's not about who you play. I think it's more about what sort of shape you're in. And you asked me about Reading. I don't think Reading will even look at the fixtures. The Reading will just lap up every game that's coming because they're in such good form. They know that they're the team in form. They're in shape. And they won't worry about the opposition. There'll be probably a little bit more pressure on 1 or 2 of the other clubs. Yeah. But it's going to be a fantastic end to the season. There's no doubt about that.
It could be sensational. Now, as we mentioned a little earlier, there are plenty of other teams with hopes of a playoff place come May the 7th. Here's how they got on Saturday, starting with Leeds v Watford.
Watford held Norwich to a draw during the week to hamper the Canaries' promotion hopes. This time they were at Leeds, looking to improve their own slim chances of finishing in the playoff positions. 2 straight defeats have threatened United's hopes of a top 6 finish. Max Gradle almost opened the scoring. Watford's record at Leeds wouldn't have inspired confidence for the travelling support. The only time they've ever won at Elland Road was 22 years ago. Don Cowie unlucky not to put them in front. The introduction of Luciano Becchio to proceedings midway through the second half brought the game to life. Becchio putting Leeds in front. At 5'6", you wouldn't expect Hornets defender Lee Hodson to be much of an aerial threat, but he was in the right place to head Watford's equaliser for his first ever league goal. 1-1 with 12 minutes remaining. Leeds could have retaken the lead moments later. Gradle again coming close. Not content with a single point, Watford went in search of all 3, and they thought they had them 4 minutes before time. Danny Graham teeing up Andreas Veerman for his 3rd goal of the campaign. The drama wasn't over. 2 minutes left. Barry Bannon's corner was turned into his own net by Troy Deeney. 2-2, the final score.
The playoffs are still a real possibility for Millwall. A run of 4 wins in 6 had lifted the Lions to within 3 points of 6th place Leeds. Millwall's defensive record has been key. They'd only conceded 22 away from home before this one at Coventry, so Darren Pearce's pass was uncharacteristic and Marlon King punished it. The Lions were without top scorer Steve Morrison, suspended after his red card against Bristol City during the week. But they were back in this game on the stroke of half-time, thanks to Andros Townsend, and what a solo goal it was from the on-loan Spurs winger. Neil Harris came on at half-time for Millwall. Just a minute and a half in, he made this off-the-ball challenge on Aaron Gunnarsson. It would be Harris's first and last contribution to the game. A 3-0 win at Portsmouth during the week confirmed the evidence of a mini revival for Coventry, and it was 3 wins out of 4 for them when King added his 2nd, his 10th in 11 games in all competitions.
Nigel Pearson took Leicester to the playoffs last year. With Hull just outside the top 6, the Tigers' boss has urged his current team to make one last big push for a shot at the Premier League. And Hull started strongly at home against struggling Doncaster. Richard Garcia with the opening goal after only 6 minutes. Donny were hoping to end a 7-match winless run on the occasion of Sean O'Driscoll's 500th league game as a manager. James Coppinger with the shot, Frank Musa following up to equalise. It will be Hull's home form that will be under scrutiny if they don't make the playoffs. They're the only team in the Championship's top 10 not to have won at least 10 home league games. Hull were given hope here when Shelton Martis took out James Chester. Matty Fryatt confidently put the hosts back in front. Donny had lost on their last 6 trips to Hull, and it would be another fruitless journey east for Rovers fans when Fryatt was left unmarked from Liam Rossinier's cross. Donny had a great chance to get back into the match, but James Hayter was foiled by Vito Manone. And Hull had their own chances to add to the score, notably this one that Aaron McLean somehow managed to mess up. It didn't matter, Hull still in the chase for a top 6 place.
They certainly are. Well, these are high-pressure times, needless to say. We saw Leeds, Watford, Millwall drop points. Are these all signs of nerves, Steve?
Well, signs of nerves, signs of difficult games, I'd imagine. There's not too many easy games in this division. It's difficult to get a run together, but somebody, you know, like that, between 6 and maybe 10, is going to need to win probably 3 out of the next 4, and that will probably catapult them into the playoffs.
It's like none of the chasing pack of the playoff contenders are grasping.
No, I mean, there's plenty of times that
you know, Forest earlier.
Yeah, 5 or 6 of the clubs have got themselves in great positions and just not been able to carry it through. So there'll be probably 1 or 2 who do finish just outside the playoffs who will no doubt be ruining 1 or 2 missed opportunities this season.
Yeah, they'll be breathing a huge sigh of relief at the KC Stadium. Hull with their first home win in 2 months, and they're still clearly in with a shout now, because to get a home win into the running,
yeah, no,
is
I mean,
crucial.
it was massive, and as you say, you've got Leeds and Nottingham Forest who are dropping points. Keeps them in with a shout, and you're going to get 1 or 2 clubs, certainly in those 5 or 6 who are chasing probably that last playoff spot, who are going to pick up a few points and put a run together.
Good team goal this from them.
It was a nicely worked move, and that's a good player they've bought as well. 1.3 million from Leicester. I think he'll be a good player in years to come for them.
Now, it was a pivotal day down at the bottom of the Championship, to say the least, as the bottom 4 went head-to-head. Palace entertained Scunthorpe. Before that, though, let's take a look at what happened at Deepdale when bottom club Sheffield United travelled to the team just above them, Preston.
How times change. 2 years ago, Sheffield United and Preston met in the playoff semi-final as they aimed for the Premier League. Now, both sides have their eyes on something else. Survival. Goalless at half-time, Sheffield United should have taken the lead after the break when Bjorn Risa was perfectly set up but couldn't finish. And then it was the Keith Tracy show. After 54 minutes, the Irishman's floated left-footed free kick eluded everyone, and North End were ahead. Tracy could have made it 2 soon after, with his free kicks giving Steve Simonson in the Sheffield United goal all sorts of problems. And in what was proving to be an inspired 15 minutes for Tracy, he then doubled Preston's advantage, proving his right foot isn't bad either. 2-0 to Preston, and on course for 14 points from their last possible 21. But they wobbled when United got a goal back, with Jordan Slew proving the old adage, if at first you don't succeed, etc, etc. Desperate to avoid a 4th straight loss, Mickey Adams' side could have levelled things shortly after. Darius Henderson denied, with Ian Turner beaten. Preston shut the door on their opponents on the stroke of full time with Nathan Ellington's 2nd goal of the season. The escape is still on. Phil Brown's vocal cords are warming up, but Sheffield United look like they're preparing to face Sheffield Wednesday in League One.
The phrase 6-pointer was made for a match like this one, with the 2 teams either side of the relegation zone. A win for Scunthorpe at Palace would close the gap on the Eagles to just 3 points. Defeat would leave the visitors 9 points adrift. It didn't look good for the Iron, with 9 successive away defeats. A 10th would be an unwelcome club record, but they took the lead thanks to David Murphin. Ramon Nunez arrived at Scunthorpe on loan from Leeds last month, and the Honduran's first goal in English football looked like it might liven up the relegation fight as the visitors went 2 up. Palace were defending an unbeaten home record that stretched back 13 games, and they gave themselves hope when Sean Scannell got on the end of Stefan Everson's flick with 20 minutes to play. With so much at stake, there was always a chance that the occasion would see plenty of cards shown. Joe Garner had already been cautioned when he made that challenge on Wilfried Zaha. Scunthorpe down to 10 men. But that wasn't the end of the drama, for it would be an eventful day for Palace scorer Scannell as he looked to outdo Garner with this high tackle on Andy Hughes. A late straight red for Scannell, extinguishing the Eagles' hopes.
All we could do is come and put a performance on and try and get the 3 points and claw it back to 3 points. Palace in front of us, and that's what we've done, and I have to say I thought we deserved the win. I thought we played ever so well today.
Tony Mowbray this week described his vision for Middlesbrough as a side without any limit to their ambition. Championship survival would be a good start, and a win against Barnsley at the Riverside would see them rise further from danger. But the Tykes had other ideas and took the lead with their first meaningful effort on goal. Kieran Trippier finding Marlon Harewood, who bundled in his 4th goal since arriving on loan from Blackpool in February. With clear-cut chances at a premium, the game took an ugly turn after 69 minutes. Barnsley's Paul McShane reacting angrily to Kevin Thompson's late challenge. It led to all this, with players, coaches and even the advertising hoardings involved. After the ensuing melee died down, McShane was given his marching orders. Borough made the extra man count 6 minutes from time. Scott McDonald increasing his tally to 9 in the league this season to square things up. It means both sides are now comfortably above the drop zone, with honours shared.
Ipswich Chief Executive Simon Clegg believes that the club might have been bidding for bigger things this season had Paul Jewell been appointed earlier. Ipswich started badly at Bristol City, down to 10 men midway through the first half, after Lee Martin's mistimed lunge on Khalifa Cisse was deemed worthy of a straight red card. But despite being a man down, Ipswich took the points. Josh Carson had scored a brace in the Tractor Boys' win over Crystal Palace last week. He added to that tally to score the only goal in this match. Ipswich unbeaten in 5 now.
Yeah, Josh Carson certainly enjoying his run in the Ipswich team at the minute. Let's look at those big games at the bottom, shall we? Starting at Preston. What a big win that was for them. And Phil Brown, after a torrid start, is now getting results from those.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even though, I think it was 11 games without a win, his first 11 games, there were some really tough games that they played, and they never got really beaten up, and, you know, the performances weren't too bad, even through that spell. And, of course, now it's they're putting those good performances into points, victories, and they've given themselves a little bit of a squeak,
yeah, I was going to
they?
say, I mean, they're the second tier's longest serving side. Yeah. They've given themselves a ray of hope.
Well, they'll have been cheering that Scunthorpe result as well, because it certainly keeps Crystal Palace in the mix, doesn't it?
Yeah, as for Scunthorpe, well, you mentioned it there. It certainly has been an eventful few days for Alan Neil in the job, but a couple of sensational results in the last week.
I mean, you know, if we had a hat on, we'd be taken after him, wouldn't we? Because, yeah, brilliant. Nunes does the kick with the eyes there, goes near post when you think he's going to bend it far, but there was 2 massive results for them. It didn't look, after the Norwich debacle, as if they had a win in them.
Yeah.
But somehow he's managed to instill a little bit of character, a bit of fight, a bit of belief, and they've got 2 marvellous results and given themselves a chance.
A couple of weeks ago, we're looking at Crystal Palace in the table, and we thought they were looking pretty safe at that point.
Well, I mean, 5 games to go and 3 at home, and with their home form as it was, you'd have said they'd have been OK, but not anymore, and that's a poor time to lose your first game at home in quite a while, and could be a big one as well.
You know, I'm going to ask you, who are you worried for there?
I mean, still, you know, the teams who've got the points are still going to be in the box seat. There's no doubt about that. 4 games to go. You still want it in your hands, but no, there'll be a few people. You know, as I say, Doncaster and Crystal Palace will be looking over their shoulders.
They certainly will be. Well, let's hear from fans of Doncaster and Palace, amongst others, shall we? So, Jason, let's get to the emails and texts and Championship fans. What have they been saying?
Yes, Manish. Well, I was at that Cardiff City-Portsmouth game today at the Cardiff City Stadium for final score. Dave Jones, after the game, said that Craig Bellamy, among others, was outstanding. Howard on the email agrees. He says, promotion or not this season, after watching Cardiff City for over 50 years, I have to say what a pleasure and honour it is to watch Craig Bellamy in a Bluebirds shirt. Jack is a Pompey fan. He's not happy tonight. He says some of our players are in a holiday mode. Those who give half-hearted performances should only be paid half their salary. Steph, the Norwich City fan, says the atmosphere last night was amazing. Come on, you Yellows. David in Swansea, not a happy Swansea City fan tonight. You cannot lose 14 times and expect automatic promotion. Now, Reading's amazing 9-match winning run means that football pundits and football presenters like me, you, Manish and Steve are referring them now as this year's Blackpool. Got a great text from Kenneth who says, I've followed Reading for 30 years and the current vibe and buzz at the club has given me the proudest feeling of being a Royal in 30 years. Aaron, the Leicester City fan, has been in touch after his team's 3-1 defeat at the Medeski. Everybody says that Sven knows what he's doing. I'm not sure he does, says Aaron, by chopping and changing the defence every week. Congratulations, by the way, to Burnley's Graham Alexander, who today became the second outfield player after Tony Ford to make 1,000 career appearances in English football. Well done, Graham. And I've had a text as well from Ross, the Cardiff fan, who says, Manish, where have you been? It's not been the same without you.
The Cricket World Cup in India, but I think my head's still there. To League One then, first things first. Many congratulations to Brighton. On Tuesday they confirmed their promotion with victory over Dagenham and Redbridge. Well, 4-3 it finished. Ashley Barnes getting the winning goal that sparked wild celebrations down at the Withdean. Steve, they've been brilliant this season, haven't they?
From top to bottom, Tony Bloom, been fantastic. They're moving into a new ground, massive input of money. Gus Poyet, even when they had 1 or 2 injuries, Loire at one stage looked as if it was going to be tough to replace, but he went in and got 2 or 3 players. The fans, 14,500 season tickets already, probably going up at this moment. Players have been brilliant. It's been all round a marvellous, marvellous achievement.
Well, having secured their promotion, Brighton were back in action on Saturday. They took on Walsall, knowing that victory would confirm them as League One champions for the season.
Still on a high from the midweek celebrations, the Seagulls got off to a flyer. Inigo Calderon's header meant they had one hand on the trophy after only 6 minutes. Cue some traditional Spanish dancing. Brighton lost their grip just 5 minutes later. Liam Brigcut's missed kick allowed Andy Butler to level the scores right in front of the travelling fans. But the 2,000 plus who'd made the trip anticipating another party weren't to be disappointed. Glenn Murray's flick took his tally to 22 for the season early in the second half. And Walsall's prospects of a recovery to aid their survival struggles suffered another serious blow 11 minutes from the end. Emmanuel Ledesma paid the price for lunging two-footed at Adam Al-Abd. With 10 men denying the leaders their 11th win in 12 games looked to be a very tall order. And sure enough, in the final minute, Elliot Bennett completed the formalities with a flourish. A superb strike crowned the most entertaining season many Brighton fans can remember. The final whistle confirmed Albion's 16 points clear can no longer be caught and prompted Gus Poyet to declare his side by far the best in this league. The champions will get their hands on the real silverware back at Withdean, but the cut price version got the message across.
Southampton stayed in second place, but without the injured Adam Lallana, they made hard work of breaking down a stubborn Bristol Rovers rear guard. Keeper Conrad Logan somehow denying Gulli de Prado. Saints were beaten at Rochdale in midweek, and with a trip to Brighton on the horizon, they couldn't afford any drop points against their struggling visitors. But luck seemed to be against them. Jonathan Fort denied by the woodwork as the home side continued to dominate. But the deserved breakthrough came 8 minutes from time, and a flash of Brazilian brilliance from Gulli. With injuries piling up, manager Nigel Adkins understands the value of 3 points, with the battle for second place going to the wire.
Crowd stayed with us, you know, there wasn't an anxiety about the place. We kept chipping away, and we deservedly got the goal, and we deservedly got the victory in the end.
Despite Southampton's success, Huddersfield refused to be blown off course. For long spells, Charlton were more than a match for the promotion chasers, although Gary Roberts let them off the hook. By the finish, the Yorkshire club was celebrating another win that keeps them bang in contention for second spot. Joey Gudjonsson's ferocious free kick ensured maximum points for Lee Clark's men, who increased their unbeaten streak to 21 games.
Bottom of the table, but boosted by a win last week, Plymouth made a superb start at London Road through Carl Fletcher. Hopefully not in front of the family stand. Peterborough nipped Argyle's frivolity in the bud soon after the break. Grant McCann's cross met firmly by Ryan Bennett. To keep themselves in the thick of the chase for automatic promotion, Posh really needed one more. Not a problem with Craig McCall-Smith around. He's scored more impressive goals this season, but his 25th of the league campaign may turn out to be crucial. And in the final reckoning, Posh fans could be looking back to this moment too. After Lee Frecklington was deemed to have brought down Stefan Zubar in the last minute, only Joe Lewis stood between Luke Summerfield and a damaging draw for the promotion chasers.
Lewis saved brilliantly, keeping Argyle in the mire and Posh optimistic.
It's looking bleak for Swindon, who just can't win at home. The Dons, the latest side to take advantage of the hospitality on display at the county ground. Sean O'Hanlon with the only goal on 17 minutes. The Robins just can't buy a break. Calvin Andrew hit the bar from David Prutton's drive, and they also had Andy Frampton sent off for 2 yellow cards. Swindon are 5 points from safety with 4 to play.
So the MK Dons consolidate their position in the playoff race. Well, it was a tale of 2 late goals, I suppose, for those teams just hiding behind Brighton for that second spot in the division. Huddersfield fans no doubt would have been forgiven for thinking that second was theirs, with this goal going in at, what, 83 minutes. But then Southampton followed theirs up. Gooley, maybe a kick in the Gooley for Huddersfield fans, because you were there, Steve.
Yeah, it was a nervous time. I mean, it's amazing how one game Tuesday night at Rochdale can impact upon another. If they'd have won the Rochdale game, we'd have had a totally different atmosphere, but it was a nervous afternoon for Southampton, and in the end, as the manager said, they kept going, and probably just about deserved to nick that one, but they probably might have to play a little bit better for the rest of the season, because it was a very, very tight game.
We also saw there a good comeback win for Peterborough to inflict further misery on Plymouth. We spoke about Joe Lewis actually last week. He's been in the headlines for his goalkeeping, but he's redeemed himself today.
Well, he has, and it keeps them in the race, doesn't it? I mean, if they'd have drawn this one, you could have probably put them out of the equation, but that's a fantastic save, and I think real togetherness, and I think the players sort of know that he's had a bit of a hard time and got round him and congratulated him. That's good to see.
100 league goals now scored and conceded at London Road.
Surprise you.
The last time that happened, 1965, and that was with Chester.
Brilliant.
Now, after waiting 41 years for promotion, Rochdale are enjoying their time in League One. They recorded their 6th win in 8 games in midweek after doing the double over Southampton to climb into the playoff places. Well, Clem was at Spotland for Saturday's game with Brentford to spend the afternoon with the manager who's rewriting the record books.
Come on, buy a programme, be on telly.
Just to put Rochdale's current lofty position into some sort of perspective, they waited 47 years for their first Football League promotion and another 41 for last season's. This is only their 6th campaign at this level. In their last, they won just 2 games. And if league positions were determined by squad size, wage budget and average attendances, they'd comfortably be in the bottom 4. Watching me wait, you know. But, of course, they do have the most successful manager in their history. How have you kept getting a gallon out of a pint pot?
We take away any excuse the players will possibly try and use. And that's born out of the training programme, the way we prepare the players. You know, there's no stone unturned in preparation.
Chrissy, are you nervous? Focus.
Right now, today, you haven't got a single injured player.
It's down to luck.
You're not telling me techniques here, are you?
No, there's no luck involved. Absolutely none whatsoever. As it happens, we've got 17 outfield fit professionals and 2 goalkeepers, and to some managers, and to myself at times when I remind myself, it can be scary.
How are you with being chased? Are you okay being chased? Yeah. You okay with that?
I don't mind it. These lads are under pressure. We could have been 4th bottom, 5th bottom, you know, looking for a point to stay in the league, but we're not, so no pressure, isn't it? No.
Elding. Jones! That's a brilliant goal from Gary Jones!
Now, wait a second, because we stood here on this exact spot on the day you got promoted, and I remember saying, well, you're pinching yourself and your worst. How are you feeling now as the club's longest-serving ever player?
Still pinching myself, you know, especially where we are in the league. It's a fantastic position, but, you know, we've got a great set of lads, and I think we can pull it off.
Almost forgot to ask you the beard a couple of weeks ago, Keith.
I'm not the man I used to be. So when I saw myself on camera, I thought, that's just got to go, that, because it was a mess. I mean, not just a mess, but a grey mess as well. It was awful. You know, but Kenny Rogers comes to mind. Some company. When I realised that it wasn't quite as good as Kenny's, then it was time to go.
Three
3 points were a must if Keith Hill's men were to stay in touch with the rest of the playoff pack, but they came up against a Brentford side who, in the eyes of Nicky Forster, served up their best display of the season. Miles Weston's terrific effort almost gave them a dream start. But by the end, the Bees boss would be left smiling all the way back to the capital, but not before Rochdale tested his side's resolve. Nicky Adams inches away from making the breakthrough. Brentford have been suffering since losing in the JP Trophy final at Wembley a fortnight ago, but after successive defeats, Huddersfield loanee Robbie Simpson met Sam Saunders' cross to clinch it for the London club to derail Dale's promotion challenge.
Did you see that one coming?
Probably, yeah. It was difficult. It was difficult to re-energise the players after Tuesday's fixture. There was a lot of pressure on us today. You know, an away fixture would have suited us probably better. And the players can be forgiven because, you know, it was probably like flogging a dead horse. The performance lacked energy, and one goal was always going to win it, and they nicked it. And, you know, we've got to give credit to the opposition.
So Rochdale beaten today, but what a great job Keith Hill's done there. I mean, they're on course to their highest ever finish when there's been 4 divisions. Their highest is 9th in the 3rd tier. Halcyon days, as their chairman called it, and he's not wrong.
No, I mean, I don't know whether it would be a little bit too strong to say it's probably now or never for them, but, you know, after all the hard work they've put in, you know, and getting in that playoff spot, they'll be a little bit disappointed to come out of it so quickly. You could see there's a little bit of tension in the air.
You could see that
in that dressing room, yeah, and he's trying to keep it lively.
They mean business, you can tell.
You can't help but thinking, now we're here, how many more chances will we get to get in the top 6 in this division? So it's a fantastic achievement, whatever happens.
Now to easily the most extraordinary story of the week, which involved Martin Allen's sudden departure from Barnet after just 3 games to pick up the reins at struggling Notts County. His first game was the midweek defeat at Yeovil. Well, on Saturday he made his home debut against Bournemouth.
Martin Allen certainly doesn't mind being on a hot seat, but the Notts County managerial job is more ejector seat these days, and not even Allen's famed powers of motivation could halt the Magpies' slide, stretching to a dismal 9 consecutive defeats. Bournemouth broke out of their own slump at County's expense, Anton Robinson's header putting them ahead midway through the second half. A first win in 8 recharges the Cherries' playoff batteries, and they made it safe 10 minutes later. Danny Ings making it 2 from his last 3 appearances. Allen has a real battle on his hands to ensure County's League One survival.
All I ask of the players when I've got is they give everything to the club right through to the end. They've been on a bad run, but we'll make sure, we guarantee, is that everyone fights, not literally, but competes, concentrates, works hard, earns their money by competing and putting everything into the shirt.
Orient continue to lose ground in the playoff race, but Exeter are building momentum for a late charge. A 5th win on the spin closes the gap on the top 6 to 5 points. Jamie Cureton got them off to a flyer by tapping in Daniel Nardiello's cross after just 4 minutes. But Russell Slade's men took just 8 minutes to find a response. Dean Cox is usually setting up goals for others, but the king of the assist levelled for the London club in spectacular style. A draw would do neither side any good, but 11 minutes from the end, Exeter found a breakthrough that puts them level on points with their opponents. Richard Logan's effort was parried by Jamie Jones, and Cureton pounced again to notch his 19th of the season to keep the Devon club in the mix.
Dagenham and Redbridge couldn't cope with Tranmere's aerial power as the Merseyside club pulled further clear of danger. Rovers now have a 6-point cushion from the bottom 4, set on their way to victory by Enoch Shawumi after only 12 minutes. After pushing Brighton all the way in midweek, the Daggers had hope for better, but by half-time were in serious trouble. Ian Goodison with Tranmere's second header. So John Steele's men were on course for their 5th defeat in 6 games and remain perched perilously just a point above the cut-off line. Only some frantic defending prevented Ash Taylor from making the home side's win even more convincing.
These two don't hit the target too often, but despite having troubled the scoreboard operators just twice in their last 6 matches, Oldham took the lead on 17 minutes with something special from Chris Taylor, his 9th league goal of the campaign. And that should have set the Latics on their way to consecutive victories on their travels, especially when Yeovil were reduced to 10 men on 64 minutes, when the already booked Luke Ayling was dismissed for a foul on Cedric Avina. It was the defender's 2nd red card of the season, but it didn't stop the Glovers battling back to earn a point 5 minutes from time. Andy Welsh doing just enough, despite the best efforts of Jean-Yves Nvoto on the line. Both teams will be playing League One football next season.
A third successive home win for Sheffield Wednesday eases any lingering fears of relegation. Sam Collins' lunge on Neil Mellor put Hartlepool on a slippery slope. Tommy Miller, whose future at Hillsborough remains uncertain due to problems over a clause in his contract, tucked away the spot kick to leave his former club trailing at the break. Miller's made no secret of his desire to stay, and just past the hour Wednesday made the point safe. The fleet-footed Jermaine Johnson carved out the chance for Gary Medine, and the former Carlisle striker finished with ease. Wednesday can now start planning for next season.
Carlisle hadn't played at home for almost a month and wasted little time giving their football-starved faithful something to cheer. A beauty from James Berrett just 9 minutes in. That set the tone for an excellent first-half display. Greg Abbott's side had Colchester chasing shadows as they stretched the advantage. Craig Curran topping off a fine move. And just past the half hour, the Cumbrians were already home and dry. Francois Zoko catching the eye again in the build-up. The Ivorian's sharp turn and powerful run left Colchester exposed, and when the ball ran loose, Liam Noble was lurking. Dispiriting for Colchester, who'd needed maximum points to maintain any realistic chance of a playoff place. Instead, as manager John Ward acknowledged, they were beaten by the better side. Curran's second of the game guaranteed another fruitless journey for the Essex club, who've tasted success just once in their last 14 away trips. Still time for Stephen Gillespie at the second attempt to put away his 4th in as many matches, but that won't have improved the mood very much on the long trek south.
Great credit to Carlisle. You'd almost forgive them for thinking the season was over with silverware in their trophy cabinet and mid-table safety, to mention that as well. But let's talk about Bournemouth, because very few teams have had to go through what they've gone through this season, and the wheels are in danger of coming off this season.
Yeah, I mean, this was a big win, as you say. I mean, elevates them back into the playoff position, especially with Rochdale's defeat. And yeah, I mean, they've got another lad in Danny Ings who can certainly score a goal. I mean, you've lost Brett Pittman, your top scorer, and Josh McCoy steps onto the plate and you lose him. And now they've another dive.
I know he's being hailed as the future of Bournemouth.
Yeah,
so.
Fantastic. And it was, as I say, it was a big result because Notts County would have been well drilled, desperate for the victory, and they've gone there and early kick-off, and they've got a great win. And it's two massive, massively overachievers going for that one final probably playoff
and
spot.
Still remain in the hunt for consecutive promotions, maybe. As for
Absolutely.
Notts County,
Fantastic.
new manager at the helm now, Martin Allen's there. Are you surprised by that?
No, I don't think anything in football should surprise you. I mean, they've employed Martin because he's gone to Barnet, got a couple of results there, and Notts County in the same position. They're struggling. They've come off the back of a string of defeats, and they need an instant return.
I suppose as well, going from a non-contract basis at Barnet to a one-year contract, you can almost understand where he's coming from. Must mention Tranmere as well. Take a huge step towards securing another season in League One, which would be a great effort from Les Parry and his players. Let's hear from League One fans then, shall we? Over to you, Jason.
Manish, lots of texts and emails about Martin Allen. I'll do those later. First of all, Brighton and Hove Albion fans, a very good evening to you, as you would expect, in fine voice this evening. What a day, what a season. Brighton are back, and they've been the best team in League One, says Jimmy. Amazing season. Still cannot believe we're champions, says 13-year-old Will. You still up, Will? Phil says, what a great time to be a Brighton fan. Best football in years, best manager in years in Gus Poyet. And to top it all, a great new stadium next year. Championes, championes. Alex and Nick in Brighton, being lifelong Seagulls fans, it has been an exceptional season for us. Stephanie from Bishopstoke says, great win for Southampton today. We are going up. Dean says, Nigel Adkins should be knighted. Championship football next season. Ben, the Huddersfield fan. Good to hear from you, Ben. After their 1-0 win at Charlton, brilliant result for the Terriers today. Let's hope we can continue our 21-game unbeaten run and push for the second automatic promotion spot. Got a great email here from Stuart, who's a Sheffield Wednesday fan, who says, "Good evening, Football League show. Just a quick message to say, if the Owls kept up this form throughout the whole season, we'd be going back to where we belong." He can't stop, quite cruelly, putting the boot into the Blades. Bring on the Blades next season, he says. United fans, you can, of course, respond to Stuart right now. And it's all doom and gloom at Argyle and Swindon. Kobe says, after Argyle's defeat at Peterborough today, "We are going down, but I'm still proud to be a Plymouth fan." And Nicholas says, "I told you, Jason, Swindon Town are doomed."
They need a full-time appointment is what they need. On to League Two now, with Chesterfield fans who are hoping to celebrate promotion to the third tier. For that to happen, though, the Spireites needed to beat Macclesfield and hope Shrewsbury dropped points against Stockport.
John Sheridan now stands on the brink of leading Chesterfield to promotion. A fifth home win on the bounce edges them ever nearer to League One, but Macclesfield turned up determined to spoil the party. Dean Holden's mistimed challenge on Emile Sinclair gave Lewis Chalmers the chance to send the visitors to the break on top. The leaders, who slipped up at Hereford last week, haven't lost back-to-back games all season, and this was no exception. Just past the hour, top scorer Craig Davis had them level. Another collector's item, raising his tally for the season to 24, and the home fans were now looking to toast another success of a truly memorable campaign. Danny Whittaker went close to giving them what they wanted. But the Derbyshire club remained undeterred in their search for a clincher, and 14 minutes from the end, Whittaker was in the right place to stick away his 14th of the season. Macclesfield still aren't mathematically safe and went close to grabbing a point, but the woodwork denied Tony Diania to keep the leaders on course for a significant win. But the Spireites aren't over the line yet. Events elsewhere mean the wait goes on a little longer.
Shrewsbury brushed aside the bottom club Stockport to delay Chesterfield's celebrations. Teenager Tom Bradshaw even had time to check with the linesman before racing through to open the scoring with impressive composure. It was a terrific pass from Ian Sharps that set him on his way, and the centre-back's next long ball was even better, splitting the defence for Bradshaw again. The youngster sent flying by Matt Glennon. It fell to Nicky Rowe to complete the job. The Shrews still pushing for a top three finish, while Stockport are now on the brink of losing their league status.
Yeah, Chesterfield just 1 point away from clinching promotion, top since November. Great effort from John Sheridan's men.
Yeah, a little bit like Brighton. I mean, by far and away the best side in that division, been top for a long, long time. And lots of teams have, have come and looked as if they've got in good positions right throughout the leagues and fallen away. But they've been, as you say, up there right from the very start to be shot at, and proved, yeah, again, they're a very, very good side. Best side has won that division, no doubt.
Point to prove as well, of course, after the way they fell away from the playoffs last season. Well, as we saw, it was a good win for Shrewsbury too, as they look to squeeze into the automatic spots. Well, here's a quick look at all things Shrews from years gone by.
Here they come again, catch us if you can.
Shrewsbury Town were founded in 1886 after the town of Shrewsbury's previous club, Castle Blues, had disbanded and reformed in an attempt to shed their roughhouse image. Several of their games had been marred by violence. Their golden era was the 1980s, spending the entire decade in the old Division 2. Graham Turner, in his first spell in charge of the club, led them into the second tier and twice took them to the FA Cup quarter-finals. They're 6 times Welsh Cup winners, and yet were never allowed to take up the UEFA Cup spot that came with the trophy, as they're not Welsh. In April 1961, player-manager Arthur Rowley's goal for Shrewsbury at Bradford saw him claim the Football League's all-time goal-scoring record, previously held by Dixie Dean. Air guitars at the ready, bassist Derek Smalls wore a Shrewsbury Town shirt in the spoof rockumentary This Is Spinal Tap. From 1910 until they moved into the new meadow in 2007, Shrewsbury's ground was the picturesque but prone to flooding Gay Meadow on the banks of the River Severn, where for 37 years Fred the Coracle Man Davis would spend matches in his boat waiting to retrieve lost balls.
One of yours, was it? Right, more from League Two now. We begin at Bury. They started the day in second place and faced a Barnet side not just stuck in the relegation zone, but coming to terms with the shock departure of Martin Allen.
Following Martin Allen's shock defection to Notts County, Giuliano Grazioli picked up the Barnet reins, and talk about a baptism of fire. Up against a Bury side who were simply on fire under Richie Barker, the red-hot Nicky Ajose nipping in to give the Shakers a 16th minute lead. Ajose's 5th in 4 matches put the hosts on course for a 4th consecutive win, and the Manchester United loanee played a big part as Bury doubled their lead soon after. Barnet's 3-match unbeaten run came crashing to a halt the minute Ajose pulled the ball back for Mike Jones. A win that sees Bury tighten their grip on second, but Barnet are 3 points adrift at the bottom.
No one was safe at Adams Park, not even the ref. So strong was Northampton's desire to distance themselves from the battle at the bottom. Phil Crossley regained his feet and composure in time to award a penalty against Scott Donnelly. And with 20 minutes gone, the Cobblers had the lead. Sean Harrod opting for the safe and ferocious approach. There was more trouble to come for Wycombe too. A very unhappy home dressing room at the break after Josh Walker's incisive pass set free Guillaume Bowser. It wasn't a lost cause for Wanderers. Just last week they battled back from 2 down to draw at Oxford. 6 minutes after the restart they were back in business. Donnelly slotting his shot through the keeper's legs. And the promotion chasers' 3rd successive draw was secured with only 8 minutes to spare. Not the cleanest connection from Leon Johnson, but just enough to keep his club in the top 3.
In a congested battle for a playoff place, Torquay will probably be happier with a point, which keeps their promotion campaign ticking over. Chris Zabrowski could have made it even better for the Gulls, but his left-foot shot could only rattle the outside of the post. At the other end, Vale also came close, and Sean Riggs' terrific effort deserved better. An 8-match unbeaten run keeps Torquay in a playoff place on goal difference, but Vale are on the outside looking in and need to find their scoring range if they're to gate-crash the post-season party.
A testing encounter for Stevenage, facing an Aldershot side hoping to stretch their unbeaten run into double figures, but Darius Charles caught the travellers cold to put the hosts into a 9th minute lead. Dean Holdsworth's first steps into management have given the Hampshire club hopes of future success. Alex Rodman thrashed in their equaliser just before the break. The former Tamworth man has been quite a find. Having scored 10 goals for the non-leaguers prior to his arrival in January, he notched his 4th goal for his new club to put them ahead just after the restart. A fabulous finish had Stevenage's sequence of 7 games without defeat in serious jeopardy. But Borough remain in the playoff picture thanks to Luke Foster's leveller. His 2nd goal for the club means Graham Wesley's men hold on to 6th position.
The pressure's on in the race for the League Two playoffs, with Gillingham's position vulnerable. Maybe that's why Matt Lawrence suffered a rush of blood with a blatant handball which gifted Morecambe the lead at Priestfield. Sammy McElroy's men, chasing their 3rd straight win, seized the opportunity. Phil Jevons with the perfectly placed spot kick. The Gills had aimed for a victory to improve their automatic promotion claim. Instead, they finished up grateful for the point which protected their top 7 spot. The home fans' nerves were shredded by the time it finally arrived. Cody MacDonald to the rescue with just 2 minutes remaining. A header which extended Gillingham's unbeaten run to 16 games.
Accrington had won 8 in a row at the Crown Ground, and Oxford keeper Ryan Clark almost did his part in making it 9. But Jumin Sangari made a nuisance of himself sufficiently to deny a frustrated Andy Proctor. Frustration at the other end too, where Oxford's best chance fell to Ryan Doble, but the youngster on loan from Southampton received merely a headache for his efforts. The result probably terminates Oxford's interest in the playoffs, while Stanley are below the dotted line only on goal difference. They'd have been 3 places higher if Jimmy Ryan had caught Clark napping, but the Oxford keeper wasn't going to be fooled from that distance.
So Aki's winning one at home comes to an end. As for Barnet, well, we spoke about Martin Allen's departure earlier, but you've also got to feel, I suppose, on the other hand, for Giuliano Grazioli and the job that he's had to take on here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously hopes were raised that they could get out of the position they were in, but you know, your first game, Bury away, is not a particularly easy one, is it?
Yeah, well,
so
these were a couple of goals that undid Barnet.
They didn't help themselves, did they?
No.
Particularly Matty Parsons here. I mean, the ball's played forward. Yeah, he's under a little bit of pressure from the Josie, but you've got to deal with it, and you don't want to give this young man the opportunity with a one-on-one with the keeper, because he very rarely misses.
At Bury, hasn't he?
He has, yes, he's been very, very good.
And Richie Barker has done fabulously well since Alan left.
Seamless, hasn't it? Yeah, I think everything was in place. A good manager doesn't change things that don't need changing, and that's exactly what he's done. He's kept it ticking along.
A second comeback in a week for Wycombe to come back from 2-0 down. They did it against Oxford last week. They did it against Northampton. No wins in 16 for the Cobblers. It just goes to show how fragile their confidence is at the minute.
Well, I mean, they'll be pleased at that point today, and they'll certainly be pleased that Barnet got beaten, because
it could have been a whole lot worse.
It could very much so, but they're going to have to address that run of form, because it's an incredibly bad run, isn't it?
Yeah.
At this stage of the season.
Gary Johnson, he needs that first win desperately. Right, let's round off the rest of League Two then. Burton Albion's Football League status looked pretty good 2 months ago, but a run of 1 win in 10 means only goal difference separated them from the drop zone. A crucial game then against Cheltenham.
Cheltenham are on the slide and still aren't completely safe. Their lack of form and confidence amply illustrated by this fluff chance from Wes Thomas. 3 vital points in Burton's battle for survival, but their cause was helped by a controversial decision from referee David Foster. Greg Pearson successfully rode the challenge of Andy Gallagher and put the ball in the back of the net. But Mr Foster had taken exception to Gallagher's challenge and chalked the goal off. The Brewers weren't happy, but Gallagher was even more upset when he was sent off. But it worked out well for the home side when Pearson put away the resultant spot kick, his 4th league goal of the season. Mr Foster won't be a popular man in Cheltenham. Steve Elliott sent flying under a challenge from Pearson, but no foul, said the man in black. Jacques Magoma made the most of the chance to make it safe 11 minutes from time. A vital win which gives the Brewers a little breathing room in the battle to stay in the Football League.
This could prove to be a valuable point for Lincoln, who were in charge for most of this one. Clark Kelty went close to opening his account in spectacular style. But the strugglers, looking to end a run of 5 straight defeats, took the lead early in the second half. Paul Green's outstretched leg had them on top. Gary O'Grady blames a lack of consistency for Crewe's failure to mount a promotion challenge this season, but Green's nudge on Ashley Westwood gave them the chance to increase their unbeaten run at home to 6 matches. Clayton Donaldson's 25th goal of the campaign ensured the points were shared.
Bradford City had never won at Roots Hall, and their 14th attempt to do so was doomed once Luke O'Brien brought down Harry Crawford for a Southend penalty. Barry Corr went for the bottom corner and did just enough to beat John McLaughlin. Then Ryan Hall celebrated signing a new 2-year contract with the second shortly before half-time, although his effort took a deflection along the way. The Shrimpers made sure of their 7th home game without defeat midway through the second half, when Hall's raking cross was dispatched in style by Kane Ferdinand. And with 20 minutes left, Hall did it all on his own, beating the on-rushing McLaughlin and confidently placing his 9th goal from his last 20 matches. Amazingly, he didn't hit the target in his first 25. With his off-field problems now firmly behind him, Hall's future looks promising.
Andy Scott was confirmed as Rotherham boss on a 3-year deal in midweek, but it looks as though leading his side to the playoffs could be a tall order. The home side dominated, but the goals have dried up. They've now scored just once in their last 5 home matches. Not even the acrobatics of Adam Lafondra could make a difference. Hereford remained resolute to the end, Ryan Taylor helping on a goal-bound header, but the strugglers racked up a 4th successive clean sheet. They're inching towards safety.
Yeah, and a very good point towards Hereford's cause for survival. As for Burton, well, wins don't get much bigger than theirs over Cheltenham, does it?
No, I mean, all those games in hand really did count for nothing, did it?
It caught up with them, didn't it?
Yeah, I think Pesh will be pleased that, you know, when push has come to shove and they really have needed a result, and as I say, they've run out of the games in hand, that they've managed to get it. So, you know, maybe they can keep concentrating for the rest of the season now on getting good results, and you know, they'll pull away from the danger zone.
Funnily enough, Pesh called this the biggest game of his career, although it is a fledgling career. So the pressure was very much on. They went paintballing in the middle of the week to help lighten the mood. Something like that can, I suppose, help.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you break the monotony. You can see each other too much, and you can be around each other too much in the same surroundings. So yeah, as you say, just a change is as good as a rest sometimes.
Yeah. As for Rotherham, a new manager on board in Andy Scott, and they're just on the fringe of the playoffs. Is it a tough job that he's taken on?
No, I think it's a good job. You know, they're a club that's got a chairman who's got some money. They're moving to a new ground after the year after next. It's a progressive club. It's a club that wants to improve and wants to go somewhere. And I think he's a decent manager, apart from probably a bad 3 months at Brentford.
Yeah, 1 win in 10.
He had a good time. So, yeah, I mean, it might be a tall order to get them in the playoffs this year, but I think they'll be knocking on the door certainly next year.
Right, League Two fans, time to have your say. Jason, what can you tell us?
Yes, I'm going to start with this, though. I've started something here, Manish. Stuart, the Sheffield Wednesday fan, had earlier talked about possibly meeting the Blades next season. James has fired it right back at you, Stu. He says, I'm looking forward to Stuart's invitation. Nice to know that the Blades will at least be picking 6 easy points up against you. Well, I asked you for your thoughts on Martin Allen's departure. You have responded. Thank you very much indeed. Chris has emailed me. He says, no words, Jason, can describe Barnet's anger towards Martin Allen. We are very much looking forward to welcoming Notts County to Underhill in League Two next season. Kanan says, as a lifelong Barnet fan, I'm extremely disappointed with the way Martin Allen left. He decided to ditch us for one of the teams we're trying to overtake. Chesterfield, of course, are, as we've seen, are flying high at the top of League Two. Lots of Spyrites fans texting me today. Most say, League One, here we come. Fantastic season. Must hold on to Craig Davis in the summer. Melissa on the email says, performance from Chesterfield today was brilliant. We're going up League One, here we come. Stevenage, of course, chasing promotion after their 2-2 draw with Aldershot today. Steve says, I'm a passionate Stevenage fan. I would like my team to get more credit from your show for their efforts this season. We're on the verge of an end-of-season playoff place. He ends with a smiley face, so I think he's still quite happy with us. A lot of anger around tonight towards Bradford City. One Bradford fan on the text, very, very angry this evening. Manish.
Thanks, Jason. So with just 3 weeks left now of the regular season, let's see how things stand across the 3 divisions, shall we? Another win for Chesterfield at the top of NPAL League 2 means that John Sheridan's men are just 1 point from guaranteeing themselves promotion. Although, having said that, they could be up without playing if Wycombe failed to win on Good Friday. There's no change anywhere in the top half as the scramble for the playoffs heats up. The top 12 were all unbeaten on Saturday. It's back to losing ways for Barnet and Stockport, but a huge win for Burton has opened up a 3-point gap between them and the drop zone. They're level with Northampton, who are now 16 games without a win. Brighton are confirmed as NPAL League One champions after their 28th win of the campaign, so all eyes now turn to the race for second place. 3 points separate Southampton, Huddersfield and Peterborough. After they all won again, Bournemouth are back in the playoffs, and that's at Rochdale's expense. We're none the wiser at the foot of the table. After the bottom 6 all lost, Martin Allen is out of the frying pan and into the fire, so to speak, at Notts County. They've lost the last 9. It's the worst run in their history. QPR within touching distance now of the Premier League. They meet Derby on Monday. The 4 teams below are still in with a shout of joining them by finishing second. Cardiff are in pole position. Interestingly enough, they face the leaders next Saturday. Time's almost up for Sheffield United at the bottom, but Preston and Scunthorpe have given themselves a great chance of survival with vital wins over their relegation rivals. The gap to safety was at 7 points a fortnight ago. It's now just 3. Crystal Palace and Doncaster are the teams in their sights, and those two meet each other over Easter. To watch the show back again, it's on the red button until midday, and it's on Freeview until 7 o'clock Sunday morning, with highlights of all the weekend's games available on the BBC Sport website. And there's more football on Sunday, courtesy of Match of the Day 2. That starts at 10 o'clock on 2. And don't forget, too, late kick-off on Monday night focuses on the teams near you. And we're back with you next Saturday for the first show of what's going to be a pretty hectic Easter weekend, it has to be said. We're on air at 10 to midnight. Well, that's your lot for tonight. Thanks to Jason and to Steve. If you're running the marathon in a few hours, what are you still doing up? Good luck with it. We'll see you next week.